In January this year, the Kenya Private Schools Association, in partnership with the government of Kenya, continued to advance its mission of providing holistic quality education for all through a comprehensive calendar of national, regional, and institutional activities. But I want to recall at the end of last year, we crossed with the ministry's strictness in the issues of boarding for our schools, which we were able to resolve, and I believe no school was closed because the ministry has agreed and is working closely with us. Collaborative governance and policy engagements. Throughout 2025, KPSA engaged in key collaborative governance and policy initiatives aimed at strengthening the private education sector. And this included the following: negotiation with the government to streamline the school registration process, ensuring comprehensive private school registers as a single institution rather than multiple separate entities. I know we have been complaining about the many inspections you have to go through. Why must you register the preschool, the middle school, the junior school, and the senior school? So we are in talks with the ministry on this, and the progress is very, very good. We hope when that is over, we will have one single license for schools that we call comprehensive schools. We have done successful onboarding of private schools onto the Ministry of Education selection and placement portal with the Ministry of Education. And for that to succeed, the ministry opened a desk for us, and you will be hearing from Dr. Simon, who is here. He is the one who was assigned to us, and he has done a very commendable job. He has already arrived here, and possibly he will be giving us a brief on that. Thank you, Dr. Simon, for making it to this place. Engagement with the Principal Secretary to review and ease stringent land capacity requirement for schools in urban and peri-urban areas is ongoing. And I hope these are some of the issues that nag you so much in your schools. And we are quietly, meticulously working on them with the ministry. And I want to say we have a very good working relationship with the ministry, and that's why some of those things are taking place. Advocacy for temporary waiver of TSC registration for technical teachers handling technical subjects in senior schools is in progress. We are alive to the talents you have seen here. Sometimes schools do not have TSC registered teachers, and we are working around the clock so that such teachers can be allowed in our schools to be able to progress those subjects that we cannot get TSC registered to be able to help us. And likewise, the advancement of clean energy initiatives with KCB, agreeing to offer special financing rates to KPSA members for renewable energy adoption. I am cognizant to the fact that as an investor like you seated there, is suffering from high electricity bills. And there's a waiver to it which you don't have to negotiate. This country is endowed with a lot of sunshine, which we can tap to make energy costs in our institutions cheap. And we have advanced discussions with the Kenya Commercial Bank in that direction so that when you want renewable energy in your institution, you can just go say, I'm a KPSA member and I want installation of such energy in my school. We have done coordination of cross-border school trips, hosting arrangements with private schools in Uganda, and we are exploring the same with Ghana. As we speak, it is now possible, if you consult us, you want to take your schools to country. Welcome my former chair, Ms. Dr. Kabwe, and your wife. Thank you so much for arriving here. God bless you. I was saying that we have explored and agreed with the National Private Schools of Uganda to coordinate things with them and work together with them. So should you want to take your schools on a trip to Uganda, we already have a working relationship with them, and you don't need to struggle where your children will be. They can help us to host our students in Uganda, and they can also come here and we host their children. In fact, this was a team that was here. They were hosted in one of our schools in Kajiado. They came to our school in Kisumu, and a team of directors who are with me in Uganda, and from Eldoret and from Nairobi and Kajiado. Likewise, we were able to talk to the ministry. It was very quiet discussions to make the junior schools be in primary schools, because we knew you had not built separate junior schools. And if you care to check what we submitted to the ministry, you will find our contribution was implemented. And that brought money to our directors. I believe from where I stand that we understood the job description and we act to the script and delivered to those who cared to listen. As I stand here today, I owe it all to some of my former colleagues. They really labored to have some of the things that we have managed to come on board be there. But through what I will call godly intervention, timely discussions, you are now onboarded on selection portal. And we are, if you want to clap, you clap. And we are waiting. I can see Aidarus is laughing because he suffered. And I can see Mutua is clapping because he knows what he was going through. We have our directors here who are to close secondary schools because there were no students. But as I stand here, I'm privy to what I believe will be selection of children coming to your schools direct come January. And we told you through a Google sheet that earlier there that you prepare. And now I want to say through efforts of one of our friends who is here, is coming to talk from the ministry, we have worked tirelessly to ensure you are there. I know 700 applicants applied, but so far I think around 300 plus have been onboarded. So if you have not been onboarded, Dr. Simon is here. Maybe we'll highlight that. And I smile because I know we understood the job description of being members of the National Executive Committee to articulate your issues, to address them, present them to the regulator, and ensure that something comes out. So without boring you, I want to call Dr. Simon to come and give his speech. Then I will finalize. Thank you, Dr. Simon. Can you come, please? Can you clap for him?
Good morning, everyone. God is good, and all the time. Yeah, my name is Simon, and the chair has pointed out that I work with the Ministry of Education, which is very correct, under the leadership of our CS and the PS, and under the leadership of the various directors who take care of various directorates. I have a very simple task. The chair has pointed out that KPSA has taken an initiative on collaborative governance and policy engagements. And matters policy are usually handled by the PS and the CS. However, these officers, they have their own technical team who come in handy to support. So I am amongst the technical team that have been supporting the directorates. I am in the Directorate of Secondary Education. And you know very well, as of now, we have various directorates. We have the primary, we have the secondary, we have the quality assurance, and each of them has its own mandate. So I'm going to shed more light regarding the issue of transition, but I'm not making pronouncements. I would want to make that one very clear. Whatever information I'm going to pass to you is where there are gaps and where we have noted that there is lack of clarity on the side of the directors so that we can move on together. We all know, and it is in public domain, our grade 9 are transiting to grade 10 in the subsequent year. And since we are moving from 844 to CBE, then we expect some changes. Previously, we used to register candidates for KCPE, and at the same time, they would choose institutions. However, this time round, after the learners were registered, schools offering senior school were also registered. And thereafter, the learners were expected to choose the various schools they would wish to join and the various pathways they would wish to pursue, the tracks, and the subject combinations. I know we have the directors here with us, but I would want to know whether they are directors who are accompanied by the persons in charge of administration. Being a director, you are a manager. But maybe by show of hearts, how many of us are accompanied by our heads of institution, all staffs who do daily administration? Or we double up as the managers and the administrators and the directors? Let me see by show of hearts. Would I call that one? Let me see by show of hearts. If you know your director you are here and you are accompanied by a staff who does the administration. And unfortunately, we are only at around 15%. Yet, I can see your hand, I can see that one. Yes, we are slightly less than 20%. So some of the technical issues we explain here, they don't reach to your administrators. And that is why I get a call from a head of institution, and he tells me, for the last 2 weeks, I've been trying to log into NEC portal so that I can I can declare my capacity, and the system is not working. Which is true, and it shouldn't work. Because in the NEC portal as of now, there is no declaration of grade 10 capacity. So these are some of the challenges your heads of institution, your administrators could be going through that can make the issue of onboarding of the private schools seem too difficult. But it is not difficult if we understand the process. And that is what I'll be emphasizing. If you go to our website, the Ministry of Education website, I'm making reference to a document that is in circulation. If you go to the Ministry of Education website, our mission is to provide and promote and coordinate quality education, training, research, and enhance integration of science and technology and innovation into national production system for sustainable development. I want to see go out quality education. And you know very well that has been our focus. We have a directorate in charge of quality assurance and standards. And if you check online, it's available. They are supposed to assist in curriculum, in the supervision of the curriculum. They're supposed to provide oversight, and they are supposed to provide guidance. And in doing so, that is where now they register institutions. That's where now registration of schools comes in. So the public schools were all assessed so that they could be advised. I have said the Directorate of Quality Assurance provides guidance. So the Directorate of Quality Assurance advised, after assessing the public schools, based on the resources that they have, the various pathways they can offer. And the same is expected of the private schools. So sometimes someone calls, and we're in the middle of conversation, I point out that schools were supposed to be assessed and advised on the subject combinations and the pathways they are supposed to offer. And someone tells me, yes, we were assessed. When? 2024, when we were admitting JS. It is true, you were assessed. But the assessment was not meant for senior school. So that is what you need to understand. In the month of September, in the month, early term 3, there was more of a rapid result initiative where all counties were activated to fast track assessment of schools, for private schools, for purpose of senior schools. Thereafter, the information from the counties through quality assurance and the CDs was cascaded to the Directorate of Quality Assurance and Standards, and thereafter the information was passed over to the Directorate of Secondary Education. We had a sitting with the KPSA team, and we made some deliberations. So if by any chance your school missed that first step, now you could understand why, as much as you're trying to log into NEMIS with the selection as the password, it is not working. So thereafter, these schools were added on the system. For any school to log into a system, for anyone to log into any system, leave alone a school, you always need a username and you always need a password. That is something that is standard by configuration. And because of that, passwords, username and passwords were generated and configured for the schools whose data had been submitted. So again, even if you have the username, which by default was the school UIC, unique identification code as assigned in NEMIS, and the password was NEC code. Even if you have those details, but your school had not been configured to be in the system, again, you will have a challenge of logging in. I'm pointing out these because these are some of the gaps we are experiencing. And someone calls with a lot of confidence, I have an UIC and I have a NEC code. It is true, you have the UIC and the NEC code. But if your school was not assessed and recommended, then it becomes very difficult to have your school in the system. So after that, schools were requested to declare their capacity. There is what we call subject combinations. If you visit the selection.education.go.ke, even without login details, you will be able to see all the subject combinations available for students to choose. You will get a lot of information in terms even of career opportunities that relates to various subject combinations. I don't know how many of us have done that. How many have been to the selection system? You can see again, our CEO, where are you? Kindly let us raise up your hands, please. How many of us has been to the selection system? Yes. I would give it a partly 35%, or like an upscale it to 40% to score a pass. But you can see majority of us are not familiar with the selection system. Yes, I know we have staffs under us. But one of the challenges is when your staffs, your administrator cannot handle your concern, then you hit a deadlock. You don't need logging details. You only need to search for that system, and you will get all the details there. All the subject combinations are listed there. It is very easy. It's very easy, and it is not rocket science, I must say that. So now you understand why we have challenges. So, schools have been requested to upload their subject combinations. For the ministry, for the public schools, each subject combinations had a capacity of 15, but because the system is one, the same case applies to the private schools. But that does not give a directive that is the crash size. That is just a way of ensuring that we have figures. There's some rationale behind that. When learners were selecting selecting institutions, by then it was only the public schools that had been added. The KPSA, your team has been engaging with the PS, has been engaging with the directors on the way forward. Now, one important thing that we need to emphasize is, if you look at the basic education framework, nurturing every learner's potential is coming out very strongly. And that's what I would wish to address for now, because I've already given you some insights onto why probably you are not able as an institution to log in. However, I must say that assessment of schools is something that is continuous. I am sure even in the month of October, probably there was a school that was assessed. The due process is, after the school is assessed, the details are conveyed by the CDE to the Directorate of Quality Assurance, then they are relayed to us, and then arrangements are made on how the schools will be added into the selection system. So, we started late, but we must be cheerful that we have a module for the private schools in the system. Would wish to know where every learner who has taken grade 9 assessment proceeds to. And that is why it is necessary to have all schools that will be offering senior school education in the selection system, so that when we are giving our national transition data, we report with accuracy without omitting learners in private institutions. So that is very important. When we talk of nurturing every learner's potential, we have seen some demonstrations here. However, we must point out that learners have varied strengths. They have different abilities. There are those who are academic, strong academic. There are those who are strong in artistic. And there are those who are strong in social. There is, I don't want to call him a comedian, because I mentor careers, and that is very wrong, calling someone a comedian. But in the market, that is what we refer to them as comedians, but they are not comedians. They are content creators. There's a gentleman by the name Mr. Bean. Hello? There's a gentleman by the name Mr. Bean who has certain bloods. He has a particular type of car that normally malfunctions, and he faces a lot of challenges. I just want you to sit from where you are seated. Just Google, because artificial intelligence is with us here, and search what is the net worth of Mr. Bean before I give the next statement. Just from where you are seated, just type the net worth of Mr. Bean. Bean, B-E-A-N. Yes. I am sure you've seen a video or two. Is it? And probably you just ignored it and felt this is just content for kids. Someone to give an answer. Yes, my brother? $150 US dollars. Not 150 million Kenyan shillings. 150 million US dollars. One good thing with Mr. Bean content, he doesn't talk. So his content can be consumed across all borders. Are we together? This is what I mean when I talk of individuals that our learners are varied in that some of them have artistic abilities. They can create unique content. Another reason why we are talking of nurturing learners' potential is to ensure there is holistic development. Every learner needs to develop all round. It is not just about getting a score, but also being in a position to explain where I am, circumstances in which I find myself. There are times our students will find themselves on the wrong, not by choice, but by chance. But if they are expressive, they're able to make you understand the circumstances in which they find themselves. Are we right? But if they are not expressive, they are not able to explain the circumstances in which they find themselves. And that is why communication is key. And for our learners to understand communication, then we must give them an opportunity to learn how to communicate. Are we there? Are we there? Yes. How many schools, how many directors seated here are currently having Form 2s, 3, and 4? How many schools are here? If you are represented here and you have Form 3, 3, and 4, let me see by show of hands. If you are sure, and I'm going to ask a very specific question on this, that your school has been offering life skills education because it is part of the 844 curriculum, let your heart remain up. Because I'm going to ask you a very specific question regarding the life skills. That will be my way of ensuring that I get the correct answer. How many of us? Yes, I can see about 2 or 3 hearts. I can see one there, I can see one there, I can see only 4 hearts. Bwana Ochome, our director, our chair. How many schools in your data, attention to our CEO, how many schools, how many senior schools that have 844 do we have? I'm sure it's a sizable number. So as we work to empower our students, as we work to make our students get grades, please, let us also make them to learn to express themselves. Yes. The best journalists, and I always say this, are those who can express themselves and those who can act. Jeff Koinange. That's not how he stays. That's not how he communicates at home. That is not how, the way he broadcasts news, he casts news, is not the way he communicates when he's with his immediate family, when he's in prayers. Are we together? Whereas when he's in the small Christian community of, or he's in that small groups, that is not how he communicates. He acts more than he creates the news. His acting is what makes his news presentation very unique. Yule mwingine anatupeanga tafakari na kuanga tafakari ya nani? Yes. So we must be sure of these things because these are the realities of life. Number 3, we want to have inclusion and equity. While we are nurturing every learner's potential, we will look at inclusion and we will look at equity. Yes. You may have been born and brought up in an arid and semi-arid area, and therefore even water for animals is not adequate. An opportunity for you to gain a skill in swimming is not there. But that doesn't mean we can't get swimmers in arid and semi-arid areas. So there is always that first opportunity. So let us provide an environment for our learners to even test some of these things. We've seen very good presentations here. But what if, where I come, we don't have access to that? Yule mwanafunzi ataingia kwako senior school, labda primary school, he didn't get an opportunity to interact with musical instruments. Do you just lock them out and insist you must prove to me that you know so that I can also allow you to proceed? Next. When we talk of nurturing learners' potential, we are looking at quality teaching and supportive environment. Quality teaching and supportive environment. How supportive are our school's environment? You know, the moment I visit your school, you don't even need to tell me how good your school is. I will know. Ile attitude, nikipika tu hapo reception, the way the secretary will respond to me, I will know where I am. You don't have to tell me. I will know. I just go around the school compound and I have my feedback. I will tell you. Yes, I will know. Niko hapa reception, mwalimu ananipita, anaenda. After some time, ananipita, anarudi. Kwa sababu hata wewe mkikutana na wewe huwa umsalimii, si ndio? It comes out, it brings out, you see, it's an element of school culture. The school culture that you cultivate, we will see it in the students, we will see it in teachers, we will see it everywhere. That's what we are talking of, supportive environment. We must provide a supportive environment where every learner feels valued, where every learner feels I belong, so that our sons and daughters can look forward to going to school rather than looking forward to the closure of the school. Hello? Are we together? Yes. Our students should look forward to come to school. If they don't look forward to coming to school, then there is a problem somewhere. Finally, we need flexibility, flexible transition, and talent recognition. When you're talking of nurturing learners' potential, at the back of your mind, look at the flexibility and also talent recognition. On TikTok, those who may have access to TikTok, and I'm sure most of you have, they have been trading, we have had some trading signature statements. I trained at this, and this is what I am doing. I trained as an engineer, I'm a dairy farmer. If I was to give you a composition, I would give you a very simple composition to tell me how to start a school. And I am sure that one you can get from the digital from the AI, and you score 100%. But if I asked you how you started a school, your story will be different. I was employed in a school. That is why I got interest. Are we together? I saw a business opportunity, but little did I know it was not a walk in the park. Hello? Is that the reality? Yes. So, when these grade 9 come to grade 10, they'll have the confidence to ask your teachers, why did you become a teacher? Are we together? And because we have walked the journey with them, we are aware. What am I emphasizing? If I come to your school and tell your teachers to tell me whom they are, they will tell me their names and the schools they are teaching and the subject they are teaching. But they will not tell me the process they walked through to become a teacher. How many of us seated here are teachers? You are trained as a teacher. Yes. If these people stood here and gave their personal experiences on how they found themselves in teaching, you would really appreciate. Some will tell you, my father was a teacher, in our family all of us are teachers. Simple and clear. Others will tell you, teaching was the only profession that I qualified to join. But right now you have qualified to join so many other professions, so many other businesses. Why are you not there? Why are you still in teaching? Because the element of passion comes in. The element of interest comes in. So as we nurture every learner's potential, let us be aware that our students vary from one student to another. As I conclude my presentation, I have said registration, assessment of school is a continuous process. In every sub-county, in every county, in our devolved units, we have officers in charge of quality assurance who visit schools and assess schools. So those schools that have been assessed thereafter, the due process is in consultation with the county director. Once that information is cascaded upward to us, you will eventually find yourself in the system. We are very close to next year, and that means we anticipate there's a lot to be done. So what I wouldn't do is to tell you that send me the names now, and before I leave here, I'll have added the name of the school to the system. Because I have said there's a due process. The school is assessed by the Directorate of Quality Assurance and Standard. Some of the schools are assessed and not recommended. Because if you do not meet the minimum requirements, we might find a scenario where it is not recommended. So again, if your school is not recommended, the advice, the assessment also tells you on what you need to improve, where are the gaps. So, we have started. We have the private schools in the system. We are happy for that. And we hope we'll continue onboarding others. And I am sure we'll continue onboarding others. So as we move on, we expect more numbers. And I've emphasized, one of the things we need you on board, we need to be very sure of our transition. So that when we say the transition from primary, from JS to senior school is this number, we are very sure of our transition. I think I would wish to stop at that point for now. But mine is to encourage you for taking the initiative to be partners in education. And you need to lead ahead. You need to be aware of what is happening. So let us be friends. Let us keep checking what is in the system. Let us keep checking what is in the selection system. Let us keep checking what is on the ministry website. Because this information will always be available every now and then. How we look into that is important. But finally, allow me to say this. As grade 10 comes to your school, please make sure that you induct them and orient them in the right way. One of the challenges we've been having, when I talk to a student, he tells me, when I get to Form 3, I will not take physics, because by the time they were joining your Form 1, they had already been told physics is difficult. Are we there? When students are told physics is difficult, it will stick in their minds. So we need to debrief them of the information they may have been given, which is not correct. And that is where the orientation comes in handy. That orientation is needed for students to understand where they are, so that we can debrief them of what they have been informed, which doesn't hold the day. Once you do that, your students get organized. Again, I am not saying there is a problem with teachers in your institutions. However, peer pressure is amongst peers. Peer pressure is not equivalent to teenage. So sometimes you might realize that amongst your staffs, they also have those concerns. The way I introduce a topic in physics will depend on how our students are going to follow. So how good are we in ensuring that our orientation? What I'm saying is, some of the fears that the students have pertaining some subjects, could they have bought those fears from the teachers themselves? And could the teachers have could that be the only way the teachers understand as a mode of instruction? So probably it's also good to do capacity building for our teachers so that they can get to understand the dynamics in mode of instructions and all that. Some of these students who do not score, while some students may not score very highly as far as KPSA exam is concerned, the same are doing so well out there in some sectors. Am I right? Yes. I am sure most of your reliable drivers, I am sure most of your reliable mechanics, I am sure those very reliable persons in charge of body works in your institutions, they may not have scored very high in English, but tumesema hata Mr. Bean doesn't require a language of communication to do what? To pass the message. So, allow me to stop at that point. I want to thank Chair for invitation and the CEO. Thank you so much. Mungu awabariki.
Now that majority of our schools are from preschool to grade 10 next year. Currently we are at grade 9. I know there are few of us who have schools in the old system, the secondary schools, and they have just finished the exams. We wish them the best in the exams they have done for senior school for next year. But for those of us that have been progressing, what's the way forward? This is what I want to say. As I stand here, I'm not a pretender to the throne of management of schools. I have been there, I am there, I feel it, I know you also feel it. Here we can share our experiences. I'm sure there is somebody here or some directors here who are wondering, how am I going to pay my workers next month? I know that question is bothering you. I know that is a serious question for all of us because preparation for senior school has taken a toll on you. If you are not in preparation for senior school, I know you are doing renovations for preschool to grade 7 that many of us have. And therefore, because this term is long, you are wondering, how am I going to close the year? You are not alone. No, you are not alone. If you are a real director, you are having sleepless nights. There are so many others. Some of these things are spiritual. It's not very easy for an individual to start a school from preschool to grade 12 and make it as the one we have here. It's a very tall order, and it takes a lot of energy. It needs a lot of resilience. It requires patience. And that's why I say, I don't know which spiritual realm you align yourself to. As for me, I align myself to the Spirit of God. Some here realign themselves to the Spirit of Allah. This is the time you seek that supreme body, because it will help you as a way forward. If you are in the other side, well and good if it helps you realign yourself and get your remedies, because it can take you to your grave. It can be very tough. So what do I say as a way forward? If you are doing preschool, there's nothing wrong with preschool. Make it one of the best where you are. And remember, the government has put in a lot of money in public school through CDF. And therefore, it's no longer going to be business as usual that you just put in some structures and you expect people to respect that. So rededicate yourself, make your preschool the best to attract the children for next year as a way forward. If you are able to get to the middle school, there's nothing wrong to get it up to grade 6. Make it better. State-of-the-art classrooms. You know what the parents want. Don't give what you want. Understand who your parents are. Those are your clients. What age group are they in? Do a little research. Find out what exactly they want, those kind of parents. And give them that which they want, because yours is to give a product and your competitor has endless finances. And your competitor is not your fellow private schools provider. Your competitor is those other public schools. And remember, the government is not sleeping. I know many of you don't travel, you think it's a waste of money. But some of us, we have been privileged to understand the government in some countries have made education very lucrative, very interactive. It's working for them. This is the joy of learning in some of the public schools. So will the parents still give you children? That's the question you must address as you get into the next season of 2026. I know it was hard when we were getting to the junior school. Quite a number of you officially told me, no, I'm not getting there. But eventually, they saw sense, just like the biblical Thomas, they agreed and joined, and I'm happy you put up the junior schools. And it's good for us. This is what I'm going to say. If you have a junior school and you have 200 students, you have 100 students, you have 300 students, where do you want them to go? That's the question the chairman cannot answer for you. That already means that you are accepted wherever you are. So your way forward, in my view, is to venture into senior school and hope that out of the 300 you have, will progress with you. It's like you have a preschool, and many times they join our grade 1 or class 1 then. So why do you think your students in your junior school will not join you? What have you done wrong to them? Those are not questions the chairman can answer. They are with you. So the way forward is to nurture them, reinvent yourself so that you are able to progress, save for what we expect the government to do for us. And in the event they don't do it, you are still progressing, because people will be seeing what you have put forward. I've seen quite a number of directors on our page doing very beautiful institutions for senior school. That's great. That's the way forward for those who are able. And I would like to encourage you to do that. The other thing you need to do is to allow your teachers to train. Go to the university. You understand them, those who are got qualifications, as a way forward. So as you train your teachers, do not have this notion that they will leave you. I personally have 20 trained senior school teachers as I speak, including one of us in the senior management position was taken back to also do the senior school training. And we believe it's going to work for us. I'm sharing my experiences, hoping that it can also resonate with you, because it would be wrong for us in NEC to believe that we can say this is the way forward. As far as we are concerned, we have a draft program for next year before the elections, which will also come next year. And that's why I was hard when I began my speeches, because we would not want to lock directors who knew they had paid and their money never reached the head office. Because there will be election for school directors who are paid up. And going forward, I have vowed, as long as I've not handed over, we will not buy anybody who wants to buy, because we don't want to be divisive. It will be up to you. Whether you want to choose a rogue, whether you want to choose a horse, whether you want to choose who, that will be it. We will not choose for you, this is the right person, this is the wrong person. But you will only be able to make that decision when you are paid up. And as far as we are concerned, as we hand over that mandate to the elections board, we can only allow them, because I will still be the chairman, to work with the members. If your money never reached us last year, and it has not come for this year, you have 2 years to pay. And if you don't pay, you will not vote. There's a lot of what I don't know how to describe. Some of us are not with us. They keep on poisoning people. Why would somebody think we should push the government when the government is working with us? Is it reasonable to disturb the person who is so good to you? I've been in the association for so long, and I know how difficult it was to even onboard us on these portals. How it was difficult for us to be able to think that children can select our schools. And some of us, in their own way, think we should push the government more. For what? I want to pass this message to them that I will not allow that to happen as long as I'm still there. They can wait, come up next year, so that they will push the government beyond what we are doing, because for us here, the government is responsive, is cooperating with us. We have got a very good working relationship, and I don't think a working relationship should be misused by rhetorics and critical thinking that is baseless. Ladies and gentlemen, you are the reason we are here. You are the reason this association is there. And let me give this caveat, that if you are a director who has invested, and I know some of you in billions in those schools, this association is very important. Take it seriously. Guard it. Guard it, because it speaks for you. Doesn't have to speak for individuals. And I believe that's what will happen. People who retired cannot let their investment go to waste because you bring in activists who want to destroy things, possibly for their own self-interests.